Okay, let's just jump right in. Today, we're looking at a world that feels like it's spinning faster than ever. A whole series of massive events are all happening on this one day, March 9th, 2026, and it's creating a kind of global instability that has experts really, really concerned. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the big picture of why everything feels so tense right now. Then, we'll zoom right into the conflict that's setting the Persian Gulf ablaze. From there, we'll trace the economic chaos that's rippling out from it, check out two other huge shifts happening in politics and tech, and then, try to figure out what it all adds up to. All right, first up, a world on edge. This really sets the stage, because what we're seeing today isn't just one crisis. It's a bunch of them, all hitting at the same time. And look, that's more than just a feeling or a catchy headline. It's the reality of what happens when a major war, a serious economic shock, and these deep social and political shakeups all collide at once. It honestly feels like the old rules are just changing by the hour. It's a totally fair question. I mean, what are the specific things causing all this instability? To really get that, you have to look at what is truly the epicenter of this whole global crisis. So let's head over to the Persian Gulf. We're now 10 days into something called Operation Epic Fury. This is a massive joint military operation by the US and Israel against Iran. And this conflict, it's not just causing devastation, it's also triggering a historic and really controversial change of power right in the middle of it all in Tehran. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. So after his father was assassinated, Mojtaba Khamenei was named the new supreme leader. But look at how it happened. The usual process through the assembly of experts? It didn't happen, not formally anyway, because of the ongoing air campaign. Instead, the IRGC, the powerful Revolutionary Guard, basically pushed the appointment through to keep a unified command. It's a move the US has already come out and called unacceptable. And the human cost here is just staggering. The numbers on this slide, they tell a really grim story. Iran's own health officials are reporting more than 1,200 dead and 12,000 wounded. And just tragically, that number includes 168 children who are reportedly killed in a single strike. At the same time, the fighting is spreading, with almost 500,000 people now displaced in Lebanon alone. Okay, so this is the part where a regional war becomes a problem for absolutely everyone. The conflict has pretty much slammed the door shut on the Strait of Hormuz, which is the world's single most important shipping lane for oil, and that is sending a massive shockwave straight through the global economy. To really get how serious this is, you have to understand this term, the Hormuz Shock. Think about it. A full 20% of the world's entire oil supply flows through that one narrow waterway. So when it closes, it's not a small problem. It's an immediate, catastrophic supply crisis that's now slamming into every major economy on the planet. And the impact was just immediate. I mean, look at this. In just 1 week, the price of Brent crude, that's the global standard, jumped by nearly 48%. This is the direct result of oil tankers not being able to get through the Gulf. Just to give you an idea, Iraqi oil exports alone have dropped by an estimated 60%. At its peak today, a single barrel of Brent crude hit $120. That price spike was so alarming that finance ministers from the G7 countries had to scramble to hold an emergency meeting. They are desperate to stop a total market meltdown. And of course, that panic is spreading like wildfire. Stock markets are just bleeding red all over the place, from Tokyo to Frankfurt. Here in the US, the latest jobs report for February showed a loss of 92,000 jobs, which has analysts now warning about stagflation, that terrible mix of high inflation and a sinking economy. But here's the thing. As all-consuming as this crisis in the Gulf is, it's not the only story. In other places, we're seeing other fundamental rules of how our world works being completely torn up and rewritten in real time. Okay, so check this out. We are watching a political earthquake happening in Nepal. A brand new centrist party, led by a 35-year-old rapper and engineer named Balin Shah, just scored a massive landslide victory. It is a complete and total rejection of the old, established political parties, a huge shift to a new, youth-driven movement. And if you want to see just how big this change is, this one Reese says it all. In his own home district, a 4-time prime minister was just crushed by Balin Shah, and I mean by a huge margin. Shah actually got the highest vote count in the nation's entire history. It's just incredible.
All right, meanwhile, in Australia, another set of rules is being rewritten, this time for the internet. The government just launched some of the toughest internet safety laws anywhere in the world. We're talking a countrywide ban on social media for minors and mandatory age checks for adult websites. They are basically creating digital borders to try and protect kids from harm online.
But the public reaction was pretty much instant. This chart shows that apps for VPNs, the software that lets you get around these new digital borders, are just soaring in the Australian App Store. Right now, one of those VPN apps is actually ranked higher than any social media platform. It just goes to show you that constant cat and mouse game between government regulation and technology. So after all that, a new war, a global economic crisis, a political revolution, and a new digital world. What's the thread that ties it all together? Well, when you start connecting these dots, a really clear pattern begins to show.
This is really the heart of it. It doesn't matter if you're talking about peace in the Middle East, the stability of our energy, the way elections are won, or how we control the internet. The basic rules that have structured our world for decades are breaking down right in front of us.
And that brings us to the final and most critical question. We are obviously stepping into a new and much more unpredictable era. The old playbooks just don't work anymore. So as we watch all of this unfold, the most important thing to think about is this. In a world where everything is changing, who gets to decide what comes next?